this, it's a great privilege and honour to serve under your chairmanship. Could I please start by commending my good friend, the honourable member from Stoke-on-Trent North, Kidsgrove and Tork. His energy and passion and his determination to see this bill go through is unrivalled, and it's a great privilege for me to serve alongside you. At their very core, war memorials serve to remind us of the sacrifices made by so many to keep this country safe. Men and women who go overseas, perhaps, with no idea of when or how they might return, leaving behind their families and their loved ones to fight an unknown enemy. These people don't do it for the money. They don't do it for the gratitude or the glory, far from it. They do it because they believe they're doing something for the greater good. It's called service. They put their lives on the line, day in, day out, as a means to a better future for the rest of us. Memorials in the UK abound. We have the Cenotaph, we have the Armed Forces Memorial at Staffordshire, the Unknown Warrior in Westminster, the Commando Memorial at Speen Bridge in the Highlands, and more than 100,000 memorials throughout the UK, all preserved and cared for by the War Memorials Trust, and overseas, of course, by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. And the UK rightly takes remembrance very seriously. We've asked so much of our armed forces that the very least they deserve is their memory to be honoured. These are people who had other options in their lives. They made a real decision to walk into their careers office or to sign up to volunteer or to embrace the national imperative and leave behind the comforts that we enjoy every day to go to places that most of us would never dream of going to. And to reiterate, this is a free country. If you don't wish to personally pay your respects to those who didn't make it home, no one is forcing you to. In fact, these men and women died so that you too could be free to think and say exactly what you please. What, however, is non-discretionary is whether you vandalise objects erected in their memory. And this is why they must be preserved and better protected in law. This Conservative government is determined to be a resolute defender of our culture and heritage. We believe in acknowledging heroism and protecting its memory. So it's right that we will. And as for the legislation itself, as my good friend from Stoke-on-Trent North, Kidsgrove and Tork has mentioned, not all actions will merit a 10-year sentence. But what this does, however, is give more freedom to prosecutors without being shackled by limits. Removing the £5,000 barrier for damage is crucial. Previously, it was required that damage be greater to warrant prosecution, but this is nonsense. And giving judges the increased powers to deal, whether in a magistrate's court or a Crown Court, is fundamental to allowing them to use their judgment. I served personally for 26 years as a regular army officer and deployed on multiple operational tours, so I do know a bit about the need to commemorate those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Every single war memorial, irrespective of nation, faith or location, serves as a visual reminder of the horrors of war and the appalling conditions that people face when fighting for their country. Aside from the fear, the anxiety and the terror experienced by so many in the service of others, each memorial carries the legacy of those who fell on the battlefield and did not come home. So these names are not just an inscription on stone, but actual human beings who lived, who loved, and who were loved. These heroes had friends, families, and were in the prime of their life when they were taken. So each memorial bears testimony to lives cut short, the anguish suffered by families, the potential that was never fulfilled, the children that were never born, and the guilt suffered by those who did come home. And that is why we must ensure that memorials are sufficiently protected in law and that those who seek to damage them through willful ignorance or stupidity are brought to justice. Just before I finish, Mr. Chairman, if I may, one of the most profound and proudest moments of my life was when I attended the D-Day 75 commemorations in Portsmouth in June 2019. It was a magnificent event. Veterans were there in their hundreds, although sadly declining in number. They were resplendent in their uniforms, shiny brass, polished boots, shiny medals. The twinkles of their eye conveying some pretty powerful testimonies of life gone by. And it was great to be amongst them. But two things struck me. The first is that every single veteran I personally spoke to underplayed the magnitude of their achievements. They were, to quote them, just doing their job. I was just doing my job. I did what I was asked to do, nothing more. And that humility, for me, is very profound. And secondly, what became apparent to me, and it was a really powerful moment, was the lifelong guilt that these great people have carried all their lives for the fact that they came home and others did not. And that is why, Mr. Chairman, we must protect these memorials in law. Thank you.
Minister.
Thank you.